top of the vehicle, you'll see this nose cone structure called a fairing. Inside that structure is where the GPS-3 satellite is currently sitting. The two fairing halves are safely encapsulating satellite to protect it from aerodynamic heating, loads, and contamination during descent. The fairing halves we are using today are new, and we'll recover them using our chartered recovery ship, HOS Briarwood. Once the fairing reaches the vacuum of space, we will jettison the fairing halves at the site.
Because I wasn't approved beforehand. I just got approved yesterday.
Good morning from SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California.
Hey, Fred.
I'm John Isberger, Falcon Principal Integration Engineer. The launch vehicle and satellite vehicle teams are ready for launch as we approach T-minus 10
wow, my phone is
5 seconds to liftoff. This is our 4th GPS launch, and all 4 have been from SpaceX.
I wouldn't have been able to go, Mike. I wouldn't have gotten back in time to take Jesse to work.
Checkouts of the GPS satellite. The satellite went on internal battery power at T-minus 15 minutes. The Falcon 9 team began their final checks at T-minus 2 hours, and most recently we completed the poll.
I'll be out there for Starliner rollout.
This was at T-minus 38 minutes, and all parties were go. The team at Cape Canaveral began loading propellant on time at T-minus 35 minutes. Falcon 9 is a bi-propellant vehicle. That means it uses 2 propellants, a fuel and an oxidizer.
Today's the first day we haven't had it rain.
A fine form of kerosene known as RP1. Now to burn the fuel, we need an oxidizer.
Temperature, ambient temperature is 85. It feels like 91 right now.
However, in space, there's no atmosphere to provide oxygen or other oxygen-bearing molecules. So the rocket needs to carry its own oxidizer to space. In our case, our oxidizer is super chill liquid oxygen, referred to as densified LOX. Liquid oxygen is chilled well below its boiling point, and that increases its density, which allows us to load more into the first and second stage LOX tanks. Now currently, fuel loading is complete on the second stage. Fuel loading is continuing on the first stage for another few minutes, and we'll wrap up at T-minus 6 minutes.
It's hot, so my phone's going to overheat really quick. So I got the air blowing towards my phone to keep it, like, cool. But it's very, very hot.
And the Florida air. Now, in addition to its propellants, Falcon 9 also needs an ignition source to start burning the fuel and oxidizing. And for that, we use the chemical T-tub that stands for triethyl aluminum.
Yeah, it's humid here too.
And when it's fully fueled, Falcon 9 first and second stages combine to carry over 1.1 million pounds of propellant. And we're going to burn through most of that over the 8.5 minutes it takes to land the first stage and get the second stage into its initial orbit. Now, once our Merlin engines begin to burn RP1 kerosene and the liquid oxygen, you're going to see the rocket rolling that combustion exhaust out of the engine nozzles in one direction, and that results in a push on the rocket in the opposite direction. And this is a great example of Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. On the weather front, at T-minus 1 hour, we were down to just 10 violating. The only thing we've been looking at is upper altitude wind shear. That looks good right now, so we expect we're going to be good for the last 7.5 minutes of the countdown. Weather conditions are also looking good for the booster landing on our drone ship and for the fairing recovery. So with that, the launch vehicle,
we're doing good.
The weather, the range are all good to go for a 12:09 p.m. Eastern liftoff from Space Launch Complex 40.
As we mentioned earlier, today's GPS-3 Space Vehicle 5 mission is for the U.S. Space Force. This mission will be SpaceX's 4th overall GPS-3 mission. 2 missions are successfully launched in 2020 and 1 in 2018. And following today's launch, we are planning our 5th mission for sometime next year. To date, these next-generation satellites provide increased signal accuracy and reliability.
Without the dog sleeping on top of me, you have bad storms coming in.
Not only does GPS-3 help with national security, it also enables all facets of our daily lives.
Storms. I know Reed Timmerman said something.
Take a look at this video by the Space and Missile Systems Center, which provides critical national security space capabilities to the U.S. Space Force.
No, Ryan. You'll always, if there's people, it'll say crew. Crews aren't going up until October again?
Stage 1, RP1 load close out.
It's like less than 5 minutes, Franny. Just so you know. Yeah. See?
Tank suppressant for strong back retract.
So retract is happening. Strong back arm.
It is T-minus 4 minutes 35 seconds. Everything continues to be go for launch. We've had a quiet countdown throughout the morning. Now on your screen, you see the large structure next to Falcon 9. That's the strong back. At any moment, the strong back will begin opening the 2 clamps around the second stage. You can kind of see them obscured a little bit with the LOX vapor. The strong back retract sequence has begun. Now, once the clamp arms are open, the strong back will retract away from the rocket slightly, just under 2 degrees. And then as the Falcon 9 lifts off, the hydraulic arms will pull the strong back farther away. Get a little bit of a view as the arms come open. Next up now is the strong back will begin to recline away from the Falcon 9. It's not much motion, but you can see we're getting a little bit of gap opened up between the strong back and the Falcon 9.
Right here. This is your strong back.
Now, the strong back is part of the transport erector. That's called the TE. The transport erector is used to roll out Falcon 9 to the launch pad, raises it to the vertical launch position, also routes power, fluids, and communication to both the rocket and the satellite. The TE includes both the launch mount that the first stage is clamped to right now, and the strong back, which is hinged to the launch mount. Next major event coming up in T-minus 3 minutes is closeout of liquid oxygen loading on the first stage.
We're going to walk out.
Stage 1, go blade.
We're closing out liquid oxygen loading on the first stage. Falcon 9 and GPS teams are continuing to track no issues for launch. The weather continues to look good. The range is ready to support. And the SpaceX team is monitoring completion of LOX loading on stage 2. That's due to finish up at about T-minus 2 minutes. And as a reminder, if we have to call a hold on today's launch, we have a backup opportunity tomorrow with a liftoff time of 12:05 p.m. Eastern.
It's not a lot. It's a weekday. Not a lot.
And we've got confirmation stage 2 LOX loading is complete. And completes loading of the over 1.1 million pounds of propellants on the Falcon 9. All systems remain go for launch. Right now, we are beginning to drain the propellant out of the lines that go up the strong back to the second stage. That's creating the large white cloud you see around the strong back. pressure from that ultra-cold rock slide is vented overboard, and it meets up with the warm, moist Florida air. Our next event will be startup called out in T-minus 1 minute. At that point, the first and second stage computers on Falcon 9 are executing stored programs to prepare the rocket for flight, leading to ignition of the Merlin engines at T-minus 2 seconds and liftoff at T0.
Well, come here, everybody's over here.
Falcon computers are running the final sequence for launch. We're also pressurizing first and second stage tanks for liftoff pressure.
Hang on, everyone.
The MD is go for launch.
Heard the call out. The Space Force mission director is go for launch. T-minus 33 seconds and counting. All systems go for launch. Let's listen into terminal count and watch as Falcon 9 transports the U.S. Space Force's GPSlll-5 Space Vehicle number 5 satellite into orbit.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Vehicles pitching downrange. Stage 1 chamber pressures are nominal.
T plus 36 seconds. SpaceX launch engineers report nominal conditions on Falcon 9. We begin the trip to space carrying the GPSlll-5 satellite. Merlin engines about to throttle down. We're in the throttle bucket. Decreasing acceleration in preparation for maximum dynamic pressure. Great views looking aft towards Cape Canaveral.
Vehicle is supersonic.
Throttle back up to full power. Out of the throttle bucket, and we're supersonic. Now from here on, even though velocity is rapidly increasing, the atmospheric density is decreasing. That's resulting in less loads on the Falcon 9. You've heard the call out. We're through max Q, so the loads are now decreasing on the launch vehicle.
MVAC engine chill started.
That call out says the bleed valve on second stage engine is open. That's beginning a final chill of the MVAC engine prior to second stage ignition.
Rumble, rumble. Yeah, it wasn't loud.
We've got 3 events coming up in quick succession.
Was
We're going to have
not loud.
main engine cutoff, MECO as we call it. The first and second stages will then separate. And then we will have ignition of the second stage engine to propel Falcon 9 into the first parking orbit.
I'm gonna get it out of here.
Beginning to throttle down the first stage engines to hold 4G constant acceleration. Coming up on main engine cutoff.
You're welcome. It was good seeing you, Fran.
MECO.
Been a while.
Stage separation confirmed.
Stage separation complete.
And we've got, as you can hear the cheering in the background, successful stage separation. Second stage is now under power of the single Merlin vacuum engine. You may have noticed some curved pieces of metal come off the end of the nozzle right after ignition. That's normal. These are ground handling tubes.
Following nominal trajectories.
They're not needed in flight. We hear the call
It's
out.
hot, but my phone is really, really hot. Yeah, maybe. Never know. So, all right, everyone. I'm out of here. And I'm going to try to beat all this traffic. And I will see everyone this evening. I am working today. But I got to get this phone turned off and cooled down. So you're welcome everyone. And just do me a favor, make sure you follow me all on my other web pages. I would greatly appreciate you. You can go to my main page on Haps, follow my YouTube, my Twitch, all my different channels, Instagram, Twitter. And thank you everyone for the money that you gave me. I don't know which ones exactly, but I will come back in there and thank you once I get home.